guest this evening is a neighbor to the north. She is an accomplished singer, dancer, choreographer, actor, and all-around creative talent. She spent 2 years entertaining millions of fans as Christine Daae in the North American tour of the Phantom of the Opera. During the tour, she also spearheaded the Green Christine initiative, which provided sustainability in each city that she visited. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the Eclectic Arts virtual studio, Miss EVA TAVARES.
Hello.
Hi, EVA. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome, and thank you for joining me this Saturday night.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So I know there's tons of fans that have been itching for this interview. I had some friends that were texting me today. I have some questions. Yeah, so I mean, you are in a lot of people's hearts, and they can't wait to hear from you. And I'm so pleased that you took the time to join us tonight. So again, thank you.
Thanks for having me. That's great.
All right, so let's kind of start off from the top. I mean, this is such a crazy time, and you're up north in Canada. So how are you coping with the pandemic right now?
Well, you know, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. Let's be honest, shall we? It's not an easy thing, but you know, I am so lucky to be in the situation that I'm in. I'm in the interior of British Columbia right now. I have a house up here, and my parents are also up here, and they have an off-grid sustainable permaculture farm. So I've been spending time with them, helping out on the farm. You know, we're able to grow our own food right now in a time when food security is a little bit of a question for a lot of people. So I'm really super lucky. Just talking to some of my friends that are in apartment buildings and in tiny little apartments in various different cities. You know, I have a lot of space, you know. Yeah, exactly. Right. I feel badly saying, you know, it's tough because I've got a beautiful 80-acre property with hills and animals and stuff. But, you know, mentally, especially in the theatrical business, in the performing business right now, it's really tough to stay positive. But you know, you look for the silver linings, of course, being, you know, we're spending time with our family. If you're with your family, or if you're on your own, you're able to kind of really take a moment to sit into stuff that you want to work on with yourself and reconnect with yourself. And so there's lots of positives, but there's definitely the staring into the great unknown part that's a little freaky.
No, absolutely. I was talking with a guest last night, and there's an underlying stress for everyone. Doesn't matter what you do. And for some people, it's a little bit larger than others. Sometimes I know for myself, I'll wake up and feel kind of like my normal self. And other days, I feel like my normal self, and that's okay. Just kind of taking it day at a time. And like you're saying, just trying to find the positives where you can, for sure.
Yeah.
So I wish I had an hour with you, but I don't.
That's okay.
So let's see here. Let me kind of go back in the time that we have, because I know there's a bunch of people out there right now saying, get to the Phantom stuff, get to the Phantom stuff.
Okay, oh goodness, yeah, okay.
But I would like to know, how did you get involved with the arts? Because I know you have a dance background and obviously an opera and singing background. So can you speak to that before we get to any of the Phantom things?
Yeah, I'll try to do it quickly. So I grew up dancing, actually. My mom was a choreographer before I was born, and she was really involved in musical theater. And then before her, my grandmother, her mother, was an opera singer in Scotland before they moved over here. So it was definitely on that side of the family. There was a lot of influence. But I started dancing when I was about 2.5, 3, and really thought I was going to be a dancer solely. And then when I auditioned to get into Langley Fine Arts in Langley, BC, I had a music teacher say, I think you should get singing lessons. And so then singing kind of took over for a bit. And then, I did my bachelor's degree in opera, and it kind of kept chugging along from there. You know, I've always been a very type A, hard worker, determined kind of person. But I didn't really have the specific goal of being really entrenched in the musical theater world. I knew that I wanted to try it, but for a long time I thought I was just going to be an opera singer or just a dancer. Kind of just morphed and changed until now it's kind of all in one, which is great.
Well, it's definitely served you well, because I was looking through your resume and your credentials. So you've been able to do a little bit of everything, really. So as we were saying earlier, I've had so many people ask me about your role as Christine Gaye in Phantom. So let's kind of go back to those people who are joining us that aren't familiar with your work. You spent nearly 2 years in that role.
Almost exactly 2 years.
Exactly. I think it was like 5 days, like 5 calendar days difference or something.
Yes,
so,
that's right.
Can you take me back to how did you get involved with the show? I mean, it was an audition process, or what happened here?
Yeah, so I was working on a show called Suzatska in Toronto, which was it was in workshop. It was being created for Broadway. It hadn't gone to Broadway yet, but I was one of the people on the team. There is one of the music directors for Phantom, and he heard me sing. And long story short, he ended up getting me a formal audition, and then it became a few auditions. I think initially, I think I had 3, 4, 5 different audition calls before I booked the gig. Sang for Hal Prince and Andrew Lloyd Webber, and a couple of flights back and forth to New York later, and then I waited quite a bit of time actually before I got the phone call. But it was really a combination of working hard and pushing myself to make impressions on the people I was working with, and then also kind of being in the right place at the right time. Because if I hadn't been on that other gig and met that person, you know what I mean, it all kind of worked together. But it was interesting too, because on that show I was a swing, which is an understudy for 8 different ensemble tracks, and it didn't even cross my mind that would happen. It was just like, I'm just gonna do my job and be here and be a part of the team, and then it all kind of just came together somehow. It was crazy.
Wow. Well, that kind of goes like they say, that you always want to put your best foot forward and do the best job you can, because you don't know who's watching or who's seeing something, and they want to come talk to you.
That's exactly it. You really never know, and you just have to show up and do your best every step of the way. And that's exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of just a random question that I actually had. So I saw you perform, I want to say it was August of 2018. So you're about a year into the role here in Seattle. And when you're doing the title track and you're getting brought down into the lair, and then the stairs appear, and then he's walking you down.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Bringing back memories.
I remember it well. Yes.
Was there ever a time where there was like a close call? I mean, was there a handle for you to grab, or are you just basically hanging on to your actor's hand and hoping that, because you have the dress on and all that? And
well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give you the details on that, but let's just say the safety of the actor is always paramount. So everything was safe. Everyone. The only moment that I felt a little bit scared up there was we were in LA last June and July when that earthquake hit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. It was like I think 7.5 or something, and we were on stage when it happened. The whole stage went this huge ripple, and the chandelier started going, and it was right in the first Hannibal scene. But then when we came back to do the rest of the show, we did feel aftershocks, and while we were up in the stairs, we did definitely feel aftershock, but everything was safe, totally safe.
Oh my gosh, that was like what kind of the art imitating life kind of thing, or life trying to imitate art.
Man, never have I ever been so terrified after that. And for the rest of the week, I'm thinking, if that happens again while we're here in LA, this is not okay.
That's when you're going back up to Canada.
That's right. I'm going back to the farm, friends. I'm done.
So one thing I want to ask you, that since you were with the show for, again, nearly 2 years, for some people, not just for theater folks and, for bands and everybody else, they adjust to life on the road fairly easily. And then some people, that's a struggle. Where did you fall into that, being on the road for so long?
Yeah. Initially it was really hard for me. I'd say the first 8 months were really super tough. Before I went on tour, I was slightly scared of planes, just not an easy traveler, not an efficient packer. That hasn't changed, unfortunately. I wish I could say it has, but it has not. So yeah, it was definitely tough the first chunk. And then really, about 8 months in, it started to feel more normal. And I was grateful for that because, oh man, if it had stayed as hard as it was at the beginning through the whole thing, I don't think I would have stayed as long as I did. But you know what? The other beautiful thing was, I mean, and I'm not saying, I know I'm biased, but I'm also saying this based on some fact, like that cast, that group of people that we had on that tour were some of the most amazing, loving, generous humans I've ever worked with in my entire life. And I know from, it's not always easy to be on tour with a group of 100 people 75 people who, there might be butting of heads, there might be drama. And, of course, because it's like a family that's thrown together without any choice, right?
Right.
But we were so lucky. We were so lucky, just really decent humans. And so in the end, that's really what saves you, is just like when you're having a rough day and you can call someone up and say, I don't want to do the show today. Someone give me a hug. Like, I'm just feeling it, yeah, super lucky in that regard.
That's awesome. I think that's, very true for any line of work. It's, if you get along with the people, that really makes such a difference in your workplace and, getting up in the morning and everything else. So, I can totally understand that. With the 5 minutes that we have, gosh, 5 minutes.
Is that really?
Yeah, maybe I'll have to have you on for a part 2 if you don't mind.
Oh goodness, yeah.
We'll talk about that offline. I know that you did some master classes recently. Behind the mask. So can you talk about those classes that you did for a bit?
Oh man, so good for my soul. After I finished tour, I actually ended up going to Lambda in London, in the UK, and did some Shakespeare training there. And I just picked up a lot of really interesting tools combined with stuff I already kind of knew worked for me as an actor. And so, when I came back from London, I decided to run these master classes for anyone from people who are kind of finishing their post-secondary education up until people who are working professionally, and just basically like coming at the work. And, the reason why I called it Behind the Mask is that, as humans, we operate in life with some safety wraps around us to try to just get through life. We all have this inner child, these traumas, these pains that we carry around with us. And as actors, we're supposed to just let those all out and be really honest and vulnerable. But it's very hard to do because the human in you says, protect. So basically, I'm just acting as kind of a gentle guide to say, why don't we let some of the protection go and let us get into the real stuff? And it has been so fulfilling, so beautiful. And I'm so excited to do it again. I've been doing online Zoom coachings with people, but to get in the room, I'm so excited for when we can do that again.
Awesome. Those sound amazing. And it's great that you're taking the time to share, what you've learned with other people. I think that's so important. I have an education background myself, so that's something else we can also maybe talk about in a part 2 session here.
Love that.
Someone's gonna just go nuts on me if I don't ask some of these fan questions. So these are some of the things that people ask me during the course of the promotion of building up to this interview. So this one made me laugh, and it says, could you see yourself as Eva falling for someone like the Phantom?
Oh, okay. Well, let's break it down here. Tale as old as time. The trope, the stereotype of being attracted to someone who is broken or hurting. So yeah, probably, and / probably have, I think it's really easy, especially if you're someone like Christine, who's just so kind and open and accepting. And I definitely consider that her and I are pretty similar in that regard. You're drawn to someone who you think, oh, I can help you. And what I've learned as an adult is that sometimes you can't. Right?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Sometimes if someone doesn't want the help, you can't help them.
That's right.
They have to want it first.
And ultimately you have to protect yourself, which is kind of what Christine ends up, realizing at the end. She can't end up sacrificing herself to try to help him.
Right. Let's see. How many different wigs did you wear as Christine?
1.
There you go, folks. 1 wig. Okay.
1 wig per show. Sorry, let me clarify. 1 wig per show, 2 in rotation. So like one night I'd wear 1 wig, one night.
Got it. Okay.
In
Favorite number to perform from Phantom?
I'm so wrong.
Sorry.
I have the Countess wig in Il Muto. Sorry, losing
Okay.
my mind. The big pink thing. What is my favorite number to perform? The final air. Always. It's just the moment where all three of us can get together and really dig into those connections. So good.
Okay. And let's see, the last part for now. Did you have a favorite city you performed in?
Probably Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I really liked Portland, Oregon. It's a beautiful place. Runner up is Kalamazoo, Michigan. Not kidding.
Wow. Okay. Well, I see that our time is up, but again,
no.
I will talk to you offline about trying to see if we can do a part 2 of this. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks,
And I hope that you stay safe out there and enjoy the rest of your weekend, even if it doesn't quite feel like a weekend.
That's true. I know. What day is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, have a good one.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.